Welcome to another episode of Dad Up, everyone. Thank you guys very much for joining me. This individual that I have on today, he and I have just recently got connected, but I'm really excited to share some of his philosophy, not only in parenting, but the things that he is doing. But my good friend David Moss has joined me on Dad Up. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, Brian. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Thank you very much for being on. I'm excited to dive in, share a little bit about what you're doing, and talk about your family. Obviously, it's a parenting podcast, so let's do that. Let's dive right in. For my listeners, viewers who don't know who you are, let's learn a little bit more about David, and we'll go from there.
Sounds like a plan. Well, my name's David Moss Jr. is kind of the name that stuck with me. I'm a father of four, married my best friend when I was 21 years old, and we're about to celebrate our 15-year anniversary. I spent 20 years in the car business. I started working when I was 15 full time, climbed that ladder, got to the vice president position for the ending 7 years of my career there. We had 400 employees. It was a great job, great fun business, but I found that I was spending a lot of time at work and not enough time with my kids while they were young. So I sacrificed a 20-year career and totally abandoned it and left. Not a knee-jerk reaction, not a spontaneous decision, lots of prayer, lots of wisdom in it, but definitely a scary situation to be the sole provider for your family and then leave a stable 20-year career where, things were good. And I focused on really, I wanted to just be able to say yes to all of the things I could say yes to for my kids and not have to like wonder if I can or have to juggle that up. So I figured, I could always start a career back over later on in life when they're older, which is the opposite of what society tells you to do. And it was the best decision I ever made. I was in a transition of becoming a full-time content creator. I was making content for health and wellness brands that I really enjoyed, and I didn't need the money from them. So I was able to just kind of share legitimately how it was affecting and impacting my life and my wife's and my kids' lives. So developed a little bit of an audience on YouTube and Instagram, and I'm kind of like the Carfax of health and wellness products now. Brands want me to showcase and review their products, and my audience appreciates my reviews. And it's been a really cool thing. I've been able to say yes to all of the things I want to say yes to. I literally just, like I said, I just Ubered home. I have a car, but just that's another story we can get into another day. But I Ubered home so I could get on this podcast. I was just at the kids' school. My daughters were getting some awards for the end of the year, and it's just cool because there's a lot of things I wouldn't have been able to say yes to, and that's kind of like a motto of my life right now is I like to say yes to my kids because there's going to come a time where they don't ask questions. Don't ask me anyway.
Right. How old are your kids?
My oldest is 13. She's her name's Ava. She's amazing. And then Ella, they're all amazing. Ella is how old is she now? 12. She just turned 12 a couple weeks ago. Selah is 9. She turns 10 in a couple weeks. And then Wyatt, my son, he's the youngest. He's the last. He's 5 years old.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I want to ask you, it's very interesting that, it's risky for somebody to leave a corporate job that they've been working for many, many, many years, been basically the income that has taken care of the family, and to leave it and jump into something that is really the unknown, right? It's a huge, huge risk to take.
Oh yeah.
What do you think that message was for your family and for your kids, especially to see dad take that kind of jump? And what do you hope that they've learned from that?
Man, I'm a big believer in I have faith, a lot of faith. I think that if I was able to show them anything in that decision, it was to put all of your trust and faith in God and he'll provide. And that's what he's done. Like we openly talk with our kids about everything. They know probably way more and too much. But I love it because we don't have to hide anything from them. They know what's really going on in our marriage, our relationships, our family. We don't have to hide anything from them where they're going to find out eventually at one point in life and be like, man, dad lied to us about that. I always wanted to have an open relationship and an honest relationship and communication with them. So we all prayed together before I made that decision. It wasn't like I just quit my job. My kids were involved in that decision because it changed a lot of things in their lives. They were able to go to the dealerships with us, and there were some cool perks to being in that position. So I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to affect their lives in a massive way, and we just put it all in God's hands. And And if anything, I want them to learn that, like, if you truly feel God nudging you and you truly feel something's on your heart, even if every one of your best friends is telling you this is a stupid decision not to do it, if you feel that peace and you feel that it's God talking to you, just have faith in him and he'll provide. And he has. It's been almost 2 full years since being a full-time content creator, and God's provided for us in incredible ways. And it's been acknowledged daily in our household.
Yeah, and I see that just from your social media that you do get. It's not just you. You get your whole family involved,
Oh
which
yeah.
I absolutely love. I mean, clearly your kids enjoy it. And I don't
Yeah,
know, I hate to break this to you, David. I don't know how long they're going to enjoy it, uh,
exactly.
uh, but right now they're enjoying it. And your wife gets involved too, which I think is really cool. It's kind of a family of content creations.
It's amazing. And so my wife has 3 more days of work left, and this is her last year working. She's gonna step into this arena with me next year and be a full-time content creator with me.
Oh, so,
So the
so
you
she's
see
got
with
3 days
her,
left.
yeah, 3 days left, and then she's joining this crazy adventure, which is awesome. And like part of our goal is to be authentic and be real and just show that, hey, like a lot of what you see, it's kind of, there's a funny meme going around where it's like the influencers who are 20 years old, have no kids, are super ripped, don't even have a job, and are getting paid to just look good, are like, hey, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. No, we don't. You don't have 4 kids. You have to get to school. You have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and get ready. Like, we don't have the same 24 hours in a day. It's split up in a lot of different areas. And I think, no shame on that, but like I think one of the things me and my wife really want to do is just be authentic and share things that we're struggling with and things that we have found to work, to hopefully help the parents out there who are trying to live a little more of that next level healthy life, but also set good examples for their kids. People ask me all the time, like that one video of my kids working out, it was a genuine video. I had no intentions of it going viral. I posted it more because I thought it was super cute of them working out in our gym. I walked outside, they're out there working out, listening to music, wrote their own workouts. And I'm like, oh, this is so cute. Little like 8-second reel has 23 million views on Instagram. And there's a lot of positives, a lot of positive comments, but there's a lot of like not so positive comments. And something that has came from that is a lot of parents that do want their kids to be active ask, like, hey, how do you get your kids involved? Like, how do you get them to want to work out? And I said, I just make it accessible. Like my whole house, there's gym equipment and fun gym equipment everywhere. And I teach them how to safely use it. And I show them how I use it. And I encourage them, if they want to use it, to do it. So they may not work out with me. They may not lift weights with me. They may not do the activities with me, but they do it. And I love it when they have friends over. It's almost like a party trick. They love showing off some of the things, getting in the sauna, jumping in the coldest cold plunge that has ice floating around in it. It's just that to me is inspiring because they're teaching their friends who they're going to grow up with that wellness is important. And I think that's the coolest part of it all.
Hmm. Wellness is important, and just the fact that you're leading by example is where they're gaining that level of interest.
Yeah.
They see dad doing it, they see mom doing it, they see how happy it makes you guys, and they want to be a part of that. Kids obviously follow our lead, so whatever the things that you're into, your kids eventually will gravitate to those things. One of the things that when I say that, it brings me back to a time in my life where alcohol was a big part of my world, and I was spent time in the military and all that, and I kind of gravitated towards alcohol. And when my boys were younger, I was what you'd call a functioning alcoholic. I had the full-time job. I took care of business when I needed to. I was coach for their teams. I didn't do any of that stuff when I was drinking, none of that stuff. I was more of the at home, casual drinker, but it became a problem. And I will never forget a day that I decided that was enough. I was sitting in my chair, and I've told this story many times in my podcast, but I was sitting in my chair in the living room, and I had asked my 10-year-old to go get me a beer out of the fridge. And so he kind of like, okay. So he went and got me a beer and started bringing it back. And it was like a brick that hit me in the head. Like, what are you doing? You're teaching your 10-year-old about drinking alcohol.
Mm.
You're not actually having him drink it, but you're teaching him about it by having him going and getting you a beer and then you sitting back and enjoying it. And that message like woke me up. And I think it was the next day I'd confronted my wife and just said, "Hey, I think I'm going to stop drinking." And I think it's become a problem where our boys are now being influenced by it. And the funny thing is, she said, it's interesting that you bring that up because I've been meaning to have a talk with you about it. And
Wow.
that was it. That was it. That was it. Everything went away. I wasn't a real hard drinker, but all that beer went away. I had wine and stuff in the house. All that stuff went away. I stopped cold turkey, and it's been over 15 years. I'm approaching 16 years in a few months, and
Let's go, man.
it's a day that I will always remember. I share that story because it's similar to what you're talking about, in that you were just kind of hanging out and saw your kids all out back kind of on the gym equipment doing their thing. That's a healthy lifestyle to live. That's a healthy thing to lead by example, a thing to do to lead by example. So I commend you for that. And your wife gets involved as well, which is really, really cool.
I love it, man. We all have those aha moments, and I'm sure anyone listening or watching, they maybe they haven't had their aha moment, or maybe they have, and that's the cool, inspiring thing. I believe everyone will at some point have their aha moment, even if it's unfortunately too late in life. You hear a lot of people when when they are on their way out and they have
Hmm.
regret.
Hmm.
They wish they would have quit drinking. They wish they would have spent more time with their family. They wish they would have formed healthy habits or did things just a little bit differently. I think that there's a lot of power in being mindful. And I had an aha moment not long ago. It was after I had left my job and I was doing full-time content creation, but I'm a solopreneur now. I used to have 400 employees and I'd have people that could do all sorts of things. Now it was just me. And I had to structure my day, schedule my day, do all this stuff. And I was kind of like still in that go-go mentality, even though I was home.
Hmm.
And one day my son stayed home with me because he was a little sick. And I was like, hey, he can stay home. That's totally fine. I do have a lot to edit today. So he was on the couch and I was editing a video and he was feeling a little bit better. And he came up to me and he was like, Dad, can we go outside and you pull me on the wagon? And I'm like, no, buddy, I gotta get this video edited. And he's like, okay. And he had like this sad look on his face. And he like walked over and it like almost brought me to tears because it just like I had all these little flashes hit me in the head. And it was like, when's the last time Ava, my oldest daughter, has asked me to pull her in the wagon? Because
Hmm.
eventually it's going to be the last time. Like eventually that could have been the very last time he asked me to go do something innocent and pure and simple. Because then it becomes like, hey dad, will you massage my back with a Theragun? Or hey dad, can we go get my nails done? Or hey, can we get some new Jordans or something like that? Then it becomes a little bit more of an act where we only have so much time with our kids where it's the simple things that make a huge impact in their life. So I like almost cry. I called my wife. I was like, this just broke me. So I stopped what I was doing. I took him outside. I'm like, how important is it that I get this video edited? He's gonna want to get pulled on the wagon for 15 minutes, and that
Hmm.
will be like a long time for him. So we did it, had a great time, had a major epiphany, and I share that story because like for me, it was just maybe it was the Holy Spirit kind of hitting me and saying, hey, like your son wants to hang out with you, go hang out with him. Like that's why you quit, isn't it? And it changed the way I think and it changed the way I listen. I
Hmm.
try to listen to the questions because it's so simple for us to say, no, not right now. We're too busy. And I think a lot of people have a misconception that like one day things are going to settle down a little bit. One day things will slow down. One day things are just going to be perfect and we can say yes to more things. That'll never happen. As long as we're pursuing, an optimized life, that might never happen. So we have to just prioritize the things we're listening to and the questions that we're hearing and say yes to the right things and say no to the things that really don't matter.
Yeah. No, you're so right. And the fact that you'd caught that, hey, that might have been the last time Wyatt ever asks me to do that again. Because now it's not just dad's too busy for me. Now it's that level, there's that trust that has sort of been cracked, right? That now I can't trust that if I ask my dad that he's gonna be there for me. Uh, Later on in life, it could have been something a little bit more serious where he needed to come talk to his dad, but he remembers the time that he asked him to pull him on the wagon and his dad told him he was too busy. So he
Right.
would be like, yeah, I may not go to my dad. Instead, maybe I'll look elsewhere. Maybe I'll look to bad influences in other people. Maybe I'll look to, could be substance abuse. Maybe I'll look to these other things to kind of help save me or rescue me. And so for you to recognize that is huge. I don't think parents, let me correct that. I'm going to say there's a handful of parents that don't realize that when their
Yeah,
kids are younger, those times that we spend with them and the things that we do for them and the amount of moments that we have with them are so small that if you don't capitalize on them, by the time they hit those teenage years, later teenage years, pre-adult years, and then those adult years, you're not going to have the relationship that you could have had if you just
exactly.
pulled your kid on the wagon that one time.
So true.
So my sons now they're 26 and 23, and they're honestly they're two of my best friends.
I
And
love
I
that.
honestly believe it's because of the way that I raised them, the way that my wife and I raised them. We were always involved in their lives. We always did things with them. We were always there for them. Don't get me wrong, there were plenty of times where we were just busy on all kinds of different things.
Oh
So
yeah.
you're going to have those times too. But I always made sure that my boys understood that I was always going to be there for them no matter what. If they had to talk to me about something that they did or didn't do that would upset me, if they wanted to tell me something that make me happy, it didn't matter. I wanted my boys to say, "Okay, I can go home to my safe environment and I can talk to my parents about this, and I know that they're going to be there for me. I'm not going to be fearful to share what it is that I have to share. I'm not going to be scared to share what it is I have to share." And so for your son Wyatt, he recognized that he wanted something done with him, and dad pushed him away for a second, but then realized, okay, wait a minute. This little moment is more important. So that's
Amen.
awesome.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
I love that, man. And I'm glad you recognize that too, because it is something, like not to get too personal, but like my dad was a first generation success. He paved the way in the car business and became extremely successful and worked a lot. And that was, the car business just demands a lot of time. So he was off on some Sundays. And when I was old enough to be in school and like on Sundays, like I didn't really know what to expect, but like a lot of Sundays revolved around whatever sports were on TV. And my dad's a super active guy. Like he still is. Like people see us next to each other and they think we're brothers because he stays very, very fit and he stays very active. Um, but the TV would always be on with some sort of sports, and he would really enjoy watching TV, and he would try to get us all to sit down and watch whatever sport, especially if it was the Miami Dolphins. We would always sit there and try to watch the TV and try to watch whatever sports were going on. I truthfully like didn't enjoy it. Like I never really played many sports growing up. I didn't really enjoy watching it. And to this day, like since I moved out and got my own house, I've never had the sports on my TV myself. I've never watched it. And it's not because I'm against sports. I think sports are super fun and I want to play them all. But to me, I have like this like almost not negative, but like I have this like scar tissue where I have no interest in watching sports. Like that's just not what I want to do. You want to go to a basketball game, be next to each other, I'm in. You want to go to a football game or you want to go to a hockey game or whatever, I'm in on that. But like the watching sports and this in the sitting there and literally like wasting 3 hours of your day to watch other people have fun blew my mind. And I feel like sometimes parents need to hear that. Like, hey, it can have a negative, side effect to your kids if that's something you put on the pedestal of time. Like time watching this. I'm not saying he did that, but it inadvertently happened. Like time watching this is important. Going outside and playing, we'll do that at some point, but this is more important right now. And I think that it's changed though too. I think that there's so many different distractions. It's not just the TV and sports anymore. It's our phone. Like now I'm a content creator, so I have to be really mindful that I'm not just sitting there doing my job, but also scrolling or spending time on social media when my kids are present and they want to be mentally present, when they want to
Mm-hmm.
be in a part of a conversation. I have to be really mindful of that. But I do have that experience to help guide me. It's like, hey, I don't want my kids to be like, I want nothing to do with content creation. I want nothing to do with this stuff because, and actually, that could be a positive thing. Who knows?
Well, let me ask you that because you brought up a good point there about, being a content creator and you having to spend a lot of time on your phone or on the computer, looking at different stuff, creating different stuff. I mean, you're talking about editing. Like I don't edit my own videos. Like I hired an editor because one of the reasons I hired an editor is because I wanted that time back. It took me so in the very beginning. I've been doing my podcast for 5.5 years. In the very beginning, I was doing my own editing on every episode and it would take me for a 45-minute episode, it would take me like 5 or 6 hours to edit this episode. And I was just like, that's just a lot of time. And you do a couple episodes, I usually do one a week, but I'm recording a couple episodes a week. So, I mean, I was spending 10, 15 hours a week just doing editing. And I thought, you know what? It may cost me a little bit of money, but if it's getting that time back to where I can devote to my family or devote to my boys or devote to my wife, then that's money well spent. So that's why I did it. But as a content creator, you're having to do a lot of stuff. How do you balance that time? I mean, you're a very dedicated, want to be a very dedicated dad and put a lot of time into being a parent and being a husband, but you also have to put a lot of time into content creating. How are you balancing that?
I'm super blessed to say that the content I create doesn't take a ton of time. Kind of similar to you, though. I mean, it was taking me about 4 to 6 hours to edit a video, and most of my videos were like reviews or experiments on different health modalities. So the cool thing is, like, I could just get my camera and film it myself of me getting into a sauna and kind of talking about how saunas can really affect people of different ages and all these different things. And I can spat off the information and then I can edit it similar to you. The only thing I do now is I script all my own things and I video all my own videos, but I do have two editors now. That's money well spent. Just like you said, you get back so much of your time. So
Mhm.
to me, my days are scheduled pretty simple. Anything before 7 a.m. is the kids, because that's usually when they're all gone. My wife too, and that's when they're all gone to go to school. If there's something at school, if there's something going on, I don't care how small it is, that takes priority. All my partners that I work with, every brand I work with, my manager, all of them know that if David's kids have something going on or his wife, that takes priority over anything else. And I've had to say no to a lot of really cool opportunities to say yes to some what some people might consider to be like, oh, that's not that important. Like she's just getting an award for, you know, being on the safety patrol. That's not that important. It is important. Like, because I think it's important that I'm there for her. But anyway, yeah, I hired an editor. That's saved me so much time. That's given me so many of my days back. I'm able to schedule the content that I have to film, and then I have the content that I want to film. So being a content creator, I get paid to make certain videos and I then there's the ones that I really just want to make because I think it's super cool information and I want to share it. So I schedule those out throughout the week. Weekends, I don't work. I don't do any content unless I'm filming. It's just fun. But the cool thing is, like, my content's not, you know, steak eating man or something like that, where it's got to be content about me eating steak or men eating steak. It's David Moss Jr. So like I have the freedom to film. Me and my family are going to Costa Rica to spend the week with Paul Saladino, the carnivore doctor. Next week, we leave Wednesday and we'll be in Costa Rica with him for a week. I'm that's not a I'm going there and it's supposed to be leisure, but I'm gonna bring some cameras. That's gonna be amazing. So we're gonna film that and I'll put together a really cool video. And my audience might not love it because it's not like a sauna or cold plunge review, but I think it's gonna be pretty cool. So I get to kind of figure out what I want to film when I want to film. And this has given me a lot of flexibility and freedom to really kind of make my own schedule throughout the day. Like if I'm doing a podcast or if I'm filming or if I'm proof watching, because right now with editors, I just get to proof watch the video, make the changes, and then do the publishing and all that stuff. But typically by like 2 o'clock, I'm done with work and I can go ahead and start preparing making dinner for the family when they get home because my kids are in cheer, they're competitive cheerleaders. My son does a ninja class, so he's doing crazy stuff. So I want to like get them fed. So I'm able to like be dad. So when they come home from school, I'm able to just be dad. I'm almost never in the middle of something. And a lot of other people know like I don't really go out to dinners. Like I used to do that a lot. And that was one of the things that kind of drove me away from the car businesses.
Right.
Not only would work early mornings and late nights and all day and weekends, but then you would have these celebratory dinners and stuff, which is cool. But I gotta, a lot of the people that go to those things, they don't really want to be there. They would much rather you just give them $500 and let them spend the weekend with their family. Like that's kind of the new age that we're in. So if a brand's in town and they want to hang out, dude, just come over. Bring your whole family to my house. I don't care. But come over, we'll cook out, we'll jump in the sauna, we'll get in the cold plunge, we'll play some pickleball. That's my like that's my ideal evening celebrating or doing business. It's not leaving my kids, trying to get a babysitter with 4 kids is very hard. It's very hard. So it's just easier to just do it all together. And luckily this lifestyle has allowed that.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's super important that especially yeah, you talking about scheduling and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's something that is super, super important. And I wanted to ask you this. You had mentioned something that at one point you said your family is disrupting conventional norms. Can you unpack that a little bit? Tell me a little bit about what that means.
So like I just did, it's so funny. So like on Instagram, I don't have a manager or anybody who does anything on my Instagram. It's always me. So if you get a response, it's me. People ask me questions all the time and it's really cool. Like I like to send them like videos, personalized videos if they're asking a question, but I got a question about like, hey, my son who's 3 is looking at, or was his son was 4 and is looking at me getting in the cold plunge every day. And I'm just curious, like, what age can he get in there? And I'm like, dude, my kid got in the cold plunge when he was 3. It's not, I'm not a doctor, not medical advice. I'm not telling you what to do, but like, know your kid's limits. Like, you're not putting him in there and like walking away. You're more than likely like just going to let him feel it real quick and get him out. um, so I think that kind of breaks some of the norms up. A lot of people think like, heck, I didn't grow up doing a bunch of all this stuff. This is all new. But when I grew up, it was like, hey, if it's cold outside, don't go get in the hot tub and then hang out in the cold for too long, you'll get sick. Or the opposite. If it's hot outside, don't go jump in cold water and then hang out in the heat, you'll get sick. Like, but now I'm forcing myself to do it every day. Like I do contrast therapy daily, and my kids do too. And the crazy thing is, like, I hate to share this because there's all sorts of judgy people.
Mhm.
Everybody do their own thing. Like, don't like do your own research and figure your own thing out. I can tell you that we were one of the first families of all of our friends and family to go into the organic world of like eating organic foods. And everybody made fun of us. It was like, oh, you're spending $22 on ketchup or whatever. You know what I mean? Not that much. But we did the research and we're explaining why, and people thought that was crazy. Meanwhile, their kids are always in the doctors, their kids are always having ear infections, their kids are always sick, they're always sick, they're always tired. And it's like, hey, like you're eating a lot of inflammatory foods. And don't get me wrong, like I have a ghost sitting here because I'm about to pound this. I don't like these, and I don't like I'm not an influencer or encourager, but like sometimes I like to have fun. I'm like the 80-20 family, like 80% do it right, be real, eat organic single food ingredients, work out, be smart. 20% have fun. You know, like I don't drink alcohol either. I prefer to spend the money on expensive water. I like good spring water, but 20% you got to have fun. Like, even though my kids work out with us all the time, my youngest son, he loves himself some Cheez-Its and he loves himself some goldfish. I let it happen. We're not that strict, but we just like to educate them, our kids, on like, hey, like just know your limits. Like, do you feel good? Does this food make you feel good long term? And they recognize it now. Like my oldest daughter is like, oh, I wanted some ice cream, but my gosh, I hate how I feel after I eat it. I was like, hey, well then just have like 2 or 3 bites, just satisfy that craving,
Right.
and then go have a beef stick or something that's going to give you the energy you need for the rest of the day. So it's just, I don't know, like I don't want to beat our chests because we definitely don't do everything right. And there's a lot that we fail at daily. But I really think that by just sharing what we're learning as parents openly with our kids, has really changed a lot of things in our life and their life. Like my kids are rarely sick, knock on all the wood, all that stuff. Like glory to God. But like my kids are rarely sick, and when they are, they're sick for 2 days and they feel better. My daughter had a stomach bug like a month ago, and she's like, Dad, I want to have an IV. She's like, I want to get an IV. So we had an IV come, and like she's getting stuck with the Myers cocktail. Felt amazing, like immediately after. Like but she knew like what 11-year-old, she was 11 at the time. What 11-year-old is like, Dad, I need a Myers cocktail to
Right.
get the bug flushed out of my system. But like that's what my kids think. And I'm so excited about that because it's like, man, I was chugging Pepto-Bismol at 25 years old. Like if my stomach hurt, I'm like, oh, I need a bottle of Pepto-Bismol. Like that's what I thought was supposed to help me. But learning what actually works has just changed so much about our life. And I'm excited to see what the kids do with their lives, with the knowledge that they have and the experience that they have, and teaching their friends and their future relationships and their future kids. It's just, we're trying to break the norm of like, hey, like everybody do their thing, whatever makes them feel great. But it's so cool to see how kind of challenging the status quo has impacted our lives in such a positive way.
That's awesome. I think, as I said in the beginning of this episode, leading by example is something that you're doing very well. And you know what, your kids may adapt to it as you know they continue on. They may kind of stick with the things that they have been taught and shown by their parents, and your kids might decide to go a different route
It
and do
might.
something a little different. And it's one thing we just never know. But doing the best you can with what you know and making sure that they're doing at least the things that are right and trying to take care of themselves at the same time is super important. I want to ask you this before I let you go, though. When you think about raising your kids, obviously they range in ages, but as a dad, what have your kids taught you about parenting?
Mm. That we're all just kids that just happen to get a little older. I thought that at some point when we had kids, like at some point something would just trigger and all of a sudden I would enjoy sitting on the couch and drinking a beer. I would, like I would be able to just be like, be quiet, and they would be quiet. I figured certain things would just happen, as you get older. And I realized like, oh shoot, I'm still the same dumb kid I was when I was 13. I just happened to be 36 and have four kids of my own. Um, and they've taught me that that's okay. Like I feel, I feel like we all most have seen our parents grow up into their age, and then our grandparents, and you see them and you almost like as a kid you see like your grandparents and you're like, wow, that is like respected, that's like respected. And then you learn some things and you're like, oh shoot, he just was like, there's just certain things about him that have dictated how a lot of other people treat him, but that doesn't
Mm,
necessarily mean he was like this old, wise, respected man. And I'm not talking about like my grandparents specifically, but just from conversations I've had with other people, it's like, oh, so when you get older, it's not just like all of a sudden you get respected because you're older. It's just like people realize they can't talk to you about certain things, so they just don't. And we're all just like, no offense, or I'm not saying anything to anybody, but like we're all just dumb kids who just happen to get older. And like I want to have an open relationship with my kids, and I'm super excited that they can come to me with questions and challenges that they're going through, or just like gossip. And like we'll just
mhm.
have conversations and help walk them through the thinking processes that we never did because we were just told to like don't talk about them behind their back. Okay, but everybody else is. Well, why don't we just talk about that? Let's talk about why everybody else is talking behind their back, and let's try to be a good person and go stand up for them. Like when this is happening, these are just normal conversations that, middle school and elementary school kids are going through. And I love that, like, I can have that relationship and be able to just talk to them and help them think through it instead of just tell them, don't talk behind people's back.
Right.
Because don't, maybe they just stop talking to you about how they're talking about other people behind their back, but that doesn't stop. If we can help their thinking patterns and help them actually like communicate with us and us communicate with them, not at them and at us, it just changes the whole dynamic. So my kids have definitely taught me that they're no, like I'm no smarter than them, and I'm learning a lot about life through them because they're exposed to so many different things that I wasn't exposed to when I was in middle school or elementary school. And that I mean, that my parents and my grandparents and everybody around the world, we're not all exposed to the same stuff. So just kind of being open minded has been really, really cool. And they've taught me a lot about my life.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I wanted to give you an opportunity, though, David, for my listeners, viewers who want to look you up, learn a little bit more about you, all those sorts of things that you're doing. What's the best places for them to do that?
So it's probably easiest for people to just search for me on like Instagram or YouTube. But also if you just went to like my website, which is D Moss Jr., DMAUSJR, like a German mouse. So dmossjr.com. It's just a link tree and it'll give you the links to like my Instagram and my newsletter and my YouTube channel and stuff like that. And then some of the other stuff that I'm doing. I try to keep that updated as much as possible. So if you just went to dmossjr.com, you could easily get to any of the other outlets that you possibly want to see. I love YouTube. YouTube is like became a really fun passion. Getting to just like this share different things, different topics. But Instagram is where I'm really active. So if you ever want to talk to me specifically, you'll get me on Instagram. And yeah, I'm an open book. I like to talk about things, so I have no problem sharing or answering questions there.
Awesome. Well, listen, David, it's been great having you on. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this. I'm looking forward to continuing our friendship moving forward.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And for everyone watching, thank you so much for listening.
Awesome. Well, listen, guys, this has been another episode of Dad Up. I want to thank my good friend David Moss Jr. for being on. Make sure you guys go check out what he's doing. He's got a lot of cool stuff on his social media, not only on Instagram, but on YouTube. Make sure you guys are looking that stuff up. Make sure you guys are subscribed to his YouTube channel so you don't miss any of his little videos that he puts out. A lot of good stuff. And his Instagram channel has a lot of stuff on his family. I mean, he really is an open book. And if you want to send him a message, he does respond to his DMs unless you send him a weird message. He might not respond to that. But for the
I
most part,
responded to
if you have questions or anything you want to talk to him, please make sure you reach out to him. But all those links can be in my show notes on the episode. So just want to thank my good friend Dave Moss again for being on. And listen, guys, if you are not yet subscribed to my show, please make sure you do that so you don't miss any of the awesome guests that I have on each and every week. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next episode of Dad Up. Wow, another amazing episode in the books. So much was shared, and I'm truly grateful my guest was able to pour into you to help you elevate your dad game and really dad up. Make sure you bang that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're here, please don't forget to leave me a rating and a review. I always appreciate the feedback. And one last thing, don't forget, your role as a dad is one of the most important roles you have. So if you need a little help or have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me on my website at daduptribe.com or at my Instagram page at daduppodcast. Until next time, everyone, dad up.